Okay, Christian, let's ask the question that is on everybody's minds. This was brought up in our Facebook group. This subject came up a few times.
The Earth being recycled.
And we thought, recycled? Or flat?
The Earth's not
Is the Earth flat?
Yeah, for sure.
No. The question is, should service managers be driving the shuttle? And so I think somebody posted like, hey, I drove the shuttle, and the response was, well, you got to do what you got to do, and that's great. And
show your people.
Yeah.
You'll do anything in the department.
Yeah. And so the question is that good? Is it good for a service manager to be driving the shuttle? Is it good for a service manager to be fixing the toilet in the new car showroom's bathroom? Is it good for the service manager to be, I don't know, answering the phone?
Yeah, I think that the answer to that isn't a question.
Should a service manager be changing the oil in a car? A waiter? What about washing? Should a service manager go back and wash a car if the car wash is backed up?
Yeah. What else?
They should.
You got more there, don't you? So
should a service manager be writing the internal ROs?
Oh, I see that.
Should a service manager be submitting warranty claims?
I feel like you're listening.
Should a service manager be fixing the leaking roof in a rainstorm because you were no help whatsoever when a roof was leaking?
And actually, it'd be funnier if it was a lightning storm.
You would have sat here at your desk on your Zoom calls that you do all day. Water could have been pouring on your head and you would have just got a hat.
The worst thing is that water did drip on me. I just kept right on going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So worthless. I did not fix the roof.
Thanks for the help.
Oh my God.
What if you would have got on the roof and laid over the top of one of the leaks? It would have stopped one of them.
Just taking it for the team.
Yeah.
And just drink the rainwater, which I would glow in the dark afterwards.
So what are your thoughts? Is driving the shuttle a badge of honor, a sign of great leadership, or is it a failure beyond comprehension?
Let's see. So I will tell you that I've kind of got the mind that if it's a matter between the customer sitting there and not getting helped, or the service manager does the ride, I would say the service manager should give the ride. Like if there's no one else and you're just looking at a customer, like if it was me as a service manager, it would pain me to no end to see someone standing around waiting for a shuttle ride. Unfortunately, I can also tell you that as a service manager, all those things that you just asked, before I learned what the role was, I did all that stuff, and I thought it made me a good service manager.
You know what my earliest memory of you is?
I don't.
I've told you this before. Which clearly wasn't special for you. Joke, man. Sorry I didn't tell it in the form of a joke. You
might remember that, right?
You getting up at like 2 a.m. and plowing snow at the dealership. And I remember asking you about it.
Because that was before I was a bad driver too.
I remember that time actually that I was in Chicago. I went to Nordstrom's Rack and bought rain boots because my feet were.
Yeah. Well, remember
there was so much snow.
Well, the first time you came in though, it wasn't just the snow. It was record cold. It was like the middle of January.
I think you remember this? It snowed like 80 times that winter.
And you brought a coat, but it wasn't even near enough.
No, it was not ready.
Insulation. And I think that I don't even know if you knew my name for 5 minutes because you were just so upset about how cold it was.
Was I?
Yeah, you were really upset.
But back to you driving. So you got up at like 2 a.m.
I'd get up at 1 and be there by 2.
And then you would move the cars, or how would you plow? How do you go about plowing?
So
the thing that surprised me the most about that was that we had to pay removal. Like it was like 10 grand or something to remove the snow.
Yeah, because you only have so many places to pile it. So you would actually...
So there's actually
hire
people
a
out
dump
there
truck.
that come and remove the snow, and it wasn't cheap.
No, it wasn't cheap. And having people plow wasn't cheap either. But yeah, so I would,
Cheap? What do you mean? You did it for free?
well, no, if you hired plow companies to come in, it was expensive. That's why I did it.
Right.
But yeah, so I had a whole system where I'd clean out the aisles first, and then I would move all the cars up, and then I would plow behind, move the cars back. It was
While it's snowing, so
While it's still snowing,
it
so you
isn't
go
like
back
you're getting ahead.
Yeah. My favorite thing is that Chicago's so famous for like snowing a foot and then going to -20. So then my favorite thing about
Black ice.
Yeah, black ice. So my plow truck was like a 1992 Silverado rear wheel drive. Like there's two ways that people go with a plow truck in the northern areas. They either have like a planned plow truck or the wholesale truck that they can't get rid of, and that becomes the plow truck. So we had the wholesale truck. But my favorite thing about that truck was it had no heat. So I had to have an ice scraper, not for the outside, but for the inside. So imagine me, one hand on the wheel, scrape, drop, hydraulic, scrape, drop, hydraulic. Like what could have gone wrong? But yeah, I had it down to a science.
Yeah. So back to my question, should a service manager drive the shuttle?
If it's symbolic, yes.
What do you mean by symbolic?
So if it's the showing, if it's a one-time, one-off thing that you say, this customer cannot sit here, I'm going to take really, really good care of them. And then after that, you have to say, okay, that can never happen again. And you come up with a contingency plan. I'm okay with it. If it's their job description, that's a problem because you're missing out on too much.
Let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask this question. I just want the answer to sit there. I'm hoping you answer this right. If a customer of ours is unhappy and it gets to me, how do you feel?
Awful.
Okay, let's just let that sit for a second. When I was the general manager of a humongous BMW store down the freeway here, and I implemented a new system, which was customers cannot leave without saying goodbye to a manager. So the salespeople were not allowed to let customers walk without a manager backstopping.
Was that a fireable one? Would you fire somebody if they did that? If they didn't turn it over?
Yes, but it never got to that. We sent a couple people home, and that was all we had to do. But we would have, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't.
I guess it's like playing poker. You have to be willing to, but you hope that it never comes to that, right? Okay, so salespeople are not allowed to let a customer. What would happen is a customer would come in, and they would demo a car.
Mm-hmm.
They would get presented numbers, and then the manager would look up and the customer was gone. And then you'd go to the salesperson, hey, what happened to Christian? And they would go, oh, he's going to go home and talk to his wife, or whatever.
Yeah, whatever the thing.
And so we were of the opinion, or I was of the opinion, that if a manager talked to the customer before they left, we might sell more cars.
Yeah. Did you guys used to call that? We called it the broom. You broomed it. You swept them off the lot.
Called a manager backstop.
Oh no, I'm talking about when you let him go without him turning over. My favorite was when people would let people go after a demo drive and didn't know their name.
We figured something out later that was way more effective than this. But this is the analogy that applies to...
Right, but I do know the other thing, which I think is brilliant.
Throwing their keys on the roof is way more effective than a manager.
They're not leaving.
What we're talking about is amateur hour compared to the real thing. So, who do you think was my biggest problem or the biggest obstacle in implementing this new rule?
Your managers.
Correct. The managers. And so the managers would, on a Saturday when we had 40 customers in the showroom, would completely fall apart. And then they were just trying to maintain, just get by basically.
Yep.
But the system is only as good as the contingencies you have for it to be effective.
That's right.
Correct? So the time when we have the most customers, the system was the least effective. And so what I did is I told everybody, we're going to get here at 6 o'clock in the morning. We're going to practice this. And they thought that was a crazy concept, but we did. I used cones as customers. I'm not joking. In the showroom with cones as customers. And we came up with a system that should they be too busy to backstop a customer, we would get the internet sales manager.
Yeah.
And then should we be so busy that she couldn't come down, we would get a couple of the fleet managers that previously were on the desk. And then we would get the general sales manager. Then we would get me. And then we would actually get the owner to come down and backstop a customer.
Oh, gosh. I hope it never got to the owner.
It didn't. And I think it got to me once or twice.
Good.
But it was now when it got to me, and let's go back to the question I asked you, if an upset customer got to me here, you would feel bad. If you're in a situation where you're driving the shuttle or you're backstopping a customer and the people around you aren't really nervous that you're doing their job for them, you have a much bigger problem than should you drive the shuttle. And maybe in a moment of desperation, you'll hop in the shuttle. But the whole time I'm in the shuttle, I'm telling myself, this is never going to happen again. I'm fixing this. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, you cannot be the backup.
This thing is broken if I'm driving the shuttle.
Yeah.
I am a failure as a leader. I have completely lost control. All contingencies have failed. And now I'm taking direct fire. So, I don't know, you can make what you want of that, but if you want me to summarize it, no, you should not be driving the shuttle.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching this clip of Service Driving Revolution. We're uploading new stuff every day, so make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss out. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show, call 8333-ASK-SDR and we'll answer your question on the show. That's 8333-ASK-SDR. For special deals on our books and training, head over to offers.chriscollinsinc.com. Now that's offers.chriscollinsinc.com. I'm Chris Collins, and I'll see you in the next video.